And the last question on that topic is on the, let's say, board membership, the board of Molecular Partners. Did you and I think I remember that, I think on the NASDAQ, there are some rules now for gender equality. And I think that actually, and what do you think about having more rules, let's say, not laws, but more rules coming more from top down? What do you think about those?
No, I actually think we've experienced here in the Scandinavian countries that it's needed to be an accelerator of the change. And I think, as I mentioned earlier, I mean, whatever we've done in Norway as to paternity leave and cost for kindergarten and all these things has facilitated that, women do work. We don't have a whole lot of women that just stay at home in this country. So that's an important thing, and it comes from above. It also paternity leaves sort of gets the fathers to connect with the kids and take care of them on a, have to be alone with the small kids. So that makes a change, not just for those months. I think it makes a change for afterwards. And I think also with the board positions, and also as you in the government and everything, there are these kind of sentiments that we should show off gender equality. I think it has been important to normalize it. I think it's also to some extent maybe necessary to get to the first steps. Then maybe it's not necessary in 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. But, we all want to be a company where you hire someone with previous experience. And per definition, as long as it's not equal, then you will continue with the same bias if you want to have people with prior experience. So someone needs to take the leap and be brave and hire someone that don't have prior experience.
Or a bit less.
Yeah. So that the next company then can hire them again as board members or whatever, because then they have had the experience. So I think it is necessary, and I think it's a good thing. And you can always fight about this. I don't want to be on the board just because I'm a woman, but I don't think it is like that. I think we need to stop, and we shouldn't start saying 50% needs to be women. We can start with something, and then slowly this will change. It will normalize. You will get more and more. With experience, you will get more and more that enter a board where you're not the only female. And then maybe sometime from now, it's positive. Obviously, everything is based on that we do think it's a positive thing. But I feel that most companies do feel it's a positive thing to have the balance of the genders and other... So then I think we need to get there, yeah.
Because on the board, I remember I was talking with Patch, and I know that it was much harder for them to find a woman that fits in the board with the same experience. Was actually really, really difficult.
But it will. I hope so. At least I enjoy being on the board. Yes. Yeah, thanks. And for me, it's a great experience as well. And I think, there's a diversity. I come with a different background on aspects than the other board members that are currently all there are male.
You're the only?
On the board, yeah. But that, I think it should be positive, but I also think, someone needs to take that decision and say, okay, we need at least one. And then we maybe want one more. And then I will have the experience.
One is already much more than zero.
Exactly.
Statistically.
Yeah.
And then it goes into the right direction.
And I will have that experience for the next board and etc. So and then it's easier for me to also help motivate other females to be on the board. So it's a long journey. I don't think we fix it overnight.
But it will take time, I mean. But as any let's say, society changes. I mean, there's so many things to change on so many different levels that it will take. I went to a museum last week. There's a photo exhibition about, what was it, 1968 or 1969, like strikes for women rights.
Mm.
And the signs were like, women are not good only at typewriting.
Yeah.
And I mean, in most countries, women had no voting rights.
Yeah.
And you think within, I mean, it's been 50 or 60 years, which can seem very long, but also can seem not that long.
Mm.
It's always hard to know, okay, is it changing fast enough or not fast enough? So it's tricky, but I think there's definitely some changes. I mean, when I saw it, I was like, okay, this seems like 200 or 300 years ago.
Exactly, yeah.
It seemed like...
And sometimes it's good to take, like, to look back 10 or 20 or 30 or 50 years to see that, realize how much it has changed in the right direction. But there are so many differences in different European countries and also in other countries. And I mean, we travel all the time. So I think that's also for Norwegian women that come from a country where they don't necessarily experience the gender differences as much, then I think they can be not prepared for what they experience abroad.
Yeah. I mean, that's, we know it. I mean, I think you are traveling a lot and
I am.
I talked about that. At least I know your October month and the flights.
Not only October, I think, Philip.
In general.
Yeah. In general, yeah.
No, that's great. Maybe let's change to more Nykode and even your role. It's one thing that I think I already asked you, but I want to ask you again. I mean, you founded the company, but you are in a CBO role. You don't want to take the CEO role.
Mm-hmm.
What's behind? What's behind? Like, yeah.
No, I think my major driver has always been the company and the company's success. And I think starting a biotech company and coming from academia and believing that makes you the perfect CEO with all that entails, which does not have a lot to do with the science only, I think is not good for the company normally. As long as you are able to work very tightly with the CEO on the strategy and the science and you have a good collaboration, I don't think it's the optimal thing to move into a CEO role. You can always structure this the way you want, but I think it's good to have someone in the CEO role that has done it before. And I think that's what I still feel. I mean, I think I could thrive being a CEO in a new company. That is, starting at an earlier phase than what we are now, because now I've already done it and I do work very tightly with the CEO on all aspects. But we do benefit a lot from that tight collaboration and coming from different angles. So I think it's good for the company. And I don't, think it's good to take over the CEO role moving into a phase that you've never been involved in before. I think that goes for many aspects. But then again, I have most likely compared to a lot of other founders that come from academia, I've had a more interest in the strategies, the business development, the investor relations, what else is needed to make this company a success. And that has always been something that I felt was super important, because it doesn't help if you do a good experiment in the lab if it doesn't, drive the company forward. And I guess that's the reason for the change from being the CSO to the CBO in the end, so I could focus across the entire company and the strategies and how to move it forward in the right direction.
And at the end also, I guess, it's a letter or a title, but what you mentioned, how you structure it internally, is also makes a huge difference. I mean, you are from what you said, sounds like you are doing with a lot of things across the whole company, and it's almost, I guess almost co-CEO, then so, but I guess, I don't know in the Nordics how it is, but in some countries they don't like the co-CEO thing. Like in France is like completely unknown.
Yeah.
In Germany it's very common. You always have 2 or 3 managing directors.
Yeah.
But I think, it doesn't really matter. At the end, I think what you said, that
I don't think it matters what we call ourselves. Yeah.
Bring the best value and that it benefits the company.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we benefit a lot. This company benefits a lot from me and the CEO collaborating so tightly. So we do a lot of the business development things together. We're the ones that we're negotiating the deals with Genentech and Regeneron, leading those discussions together. That's the two of us that's been on the road for this capital raise that we did this week, talking to all the investors together. We complement each other in what we can answer, so that we cover everything in the company. So we don't have to take a lot of the questions back in those meetings and say, I'll go and check with someone internally and then come back with an answer. Most of the things we are able to answer in the meeting at the level that is needed there. And I think that drives us forward in the right direction. And we get all that feedback from the external world as well that we can take home and discuss amongst the entire leadership team as to where should we go and what is the focus and the interest.
I like that. And I think it's also great to be as a, duet or whatever the word in English as two. Also at the top level, because it helps also a lot. It feels, you always have the thing like it's lonely on the top, but I think if you're 2 on the top, it's way less lonely.
Yes, exactly.
And being together in the meetings also helps a lot to get feedback, share thoughts, discuss the same thing that has been lived.
Yeah. And I think that's like all the dinners, all the airport lounges, etc. It is a constant discussion about the last meetings, the sentiments, what should then be the focus and the topics, and what should we tell back to the organization, and what should we tell the board, etc. So I always liked it. I also liked it when I was CSO, because I was on the road quite a lot when I was CSO. Obviously the company was smaller, but this opportunity to then be out there, talk to potential partners, talk to investors, understand what is of interest and what do they think is just boring. It's not always that you can have that same sense if you are just working in the lab and you see, I get good results here and I get good results here. But which of those experiments are the ones we should pursue further in order to make this company do something that is so interest for patients and shareholders in the end then.
In a way, your investors and your partners are your indirect customers.
Exactly.
And the gateway to the patients. So even in any, usually even in tech companies, like talking to the customer helps then to funnel it back into the product.
Yeah.
So I think
that's where I thrive the most, when I'm allowed to be there, like in the middle, so we can try to take the right decisions that we are proud of in a half a year or a year from now, because we made something that was differentiated and meaningful for the patients.
But it's also it's an extremely hard position, also hard to get this experience and get this, I can talk super deep about the science, the clinics, but also investor relation in New York and the business, the strategy, making a deal. It's a very large range of skills and experience sets.
Yeah.
Which,
But in principle, you need it a bit early as a founder and, in the leadership of a very small company. There is normally, at least here with the limited funding, you don't have the best CBO and you don't have investor relations, right? In the beginning, so you need to take care of everything. Obviously, maybe I was a bit more interested in that part than all founders, But I'm also, maybe extremely curious, and I like to do new things.
So new thing.
I think in this company, it's always for me been for the best of the company. So if someone comes in and covers, I even had to do like manufacturing in a short period that I never necessarily liked or excelled at it. Then someone comes in and can take that position, then I can pretty quickly move out of the daily operations and the decisions in that aspect, and then I can focus on something else where we do have a gap still. Yeah. And that's maybe something I like, that there is always somewhere we have a gap, and I love it every time someone comes in and can cover part of what I'm doing today. So I don't have to take everything on board anymore. Obviously, this company is growing all the time. So that's part of the journey, and some of those processes have been more painful than others, also for me and also for those that come in, obviously. But I think that's what I like. If there is a gap, what can I do to fill it?
I mean, you grow also, curiosity and personal growth, and you grow also in this pain